Revenge games are always fun. You know what I'm talking about. Player X leaves Team Y, and maybe it's a free agent departure, and the team feels abandoned. Or maybe it's a trade, and the player feels betrayed. Usually, at least one side is a little bit angry, and the atmosphere is spicy, and all of a sudden you have grown men in the stands dressing up as giant cupcakes, for example. Anyway, last night there was supposed to be a star-studded double revenge affair in Houston as the Thunder rolled into town. There was Chris Paul, who was traded off a championship contender to a rebuilding team barely a year after he signed a contract that was supposed to keep him with the Rockets until 2022. And there was Russell Westbrook, who, yes, parted amicably with OKC, but come on, details like that have never stopped Russ before. And when he showed up to last night's game, basically dressed as a pro wrestler, it certainly felt like it was on. Except, well, as the game unfolded, that feeling of basketball rage that can be so fun to watch wasn't really there. Instead, it turns out it was 1,400 miles away in New York City. Yeah, the Knicks hosted Chicago last night. And apparently Bobby Portis felt this was the time and place to take out some of his frustrations on the Bulls, who he'd said, quote, blindsided him by trading him this past February. Now, we need to be honest. This was not exactly a potboiler at the start. New York fell down by 18 after the first quarter. But, and here's a sentence I didn't picture myself saying today, Bobby Portis just flat out refused to let his team lose. Over and over. Seriously, he sparked the Knicks, often turning to give Bulls, that bench, one of those see what you're missing looks. And in the fourth quarter, he brought it all home. First, there was this three that tied the game. Then, with less than 2 minutes on the clock, watch this. Randall with the perfect pass, Portis getting Lauri Markkanen to fly by, and in Mike Breen's own words, bang! Just drilled it, and the crowd at the Garden went insane. Yeah, that's John McEnroe there. And yeah, Portis said he gave McEnroe a high five, even though he later admitted he didn't actually know who the tennis champ was. But hey, it didn't matter. Portis would go on to hit another three, allowing him to finish with 28 points, 11 rebounds, and an entire arena full of fans chanting his name. It was a perfect revenge game script. And maybe, in a way, it was better because it was so unexpected, especially compared to the hype that was going on, yes, halfway across the country in Houston. And I do want to note, eventually, there were some spicy moments between the Rockets and the Thunder. In the closing minutes, we got Russ barreling toward the basket, kicking it out to P.J. Tucker for a much-needed three. We got this stare down between James Harden and CP. Fans just free to imagine all the bad blood of this past summer between them. Harden loses the ball here. Chris ends up with it and makes a nice hockey assist to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Still, by the time the Rockets won the game, the whole thing felt very civilized. Russ even visited OKC's locker room afterward, high-fiving old friends, joking around with CP. They say that revenge is a dish best served cold. But last night, it was a dish best served by surprise. So, guys, Portis, he was great. And RJ Barrett also had a terrific game. Big nights. This was New York's first win of the season. They're now 1-3. So, Shanae, is this providing some Knicks fans a little bit of hope?
It is providing hope. I think RJ Barrett, sometimes you wonder how long will it take for them to really establish themselves. Based on his international experience, he sort of was an early pro. And yeah, what did he have? 19 and 15? And he's also assumed some of the bring the ball up responsibilities just because of their point guard situation with Dennis Smith Jr. and then also Frank Ntilikina. So yeah, I'm impressed with this. I guess I'm hopeful that they're able to play hard and at least build a foundation for the future. I like Kevin Knox, Julius Randle. You're going to get energy and effort. So yeah, there's hope in New York for the first time in a little while. You ready?
It's also the way they won too. I mean, this is a game at home, and they come back on a 15-0 run to spur this comeback. And I think that was meaningful to them at home because I think they were feeling it. I was talking to some folks with the Knicks this morning, and they were, it was really important. They felt like the guys were kind of tight at home, had to deliver on some of the pressure that's on them from the Garden fans. And for Julius Randle to make an adjustment in the second half, and he was turning the ball over early, he made the adjustment in the second half. It was a nice win, and I think just the way that it came about, where they lose back-to-back, and then they should have had a day off, right? Usually you get a day off after that?
That's what I was going to say. They had to go to extreme measures for this, right? So they had to...
There it is.
Really paper the deck here. They had to practice on a day they shouldn't have, right? And this was made a big deal of in New York.
Yeah.
That here Coach Fizdale puts them through a practice the day after a back-to-back, which is ironically what Jim Boylan and the Bulls got in trouble for.
Yep.
So do you think that needing that to get that result is something, or do you think that he'll have to do that again, or that it'll
I think
be
he's gonna have to do that again. And if you know Fizz the way we know him, he comes from Miami Heat culture. I mean, like, you don't mess around. If you're not playing the way you're supposed to be playing, and especially with, they have a young team here who's still learning them how to play, and they're still trying to instill a culture of discipline there. I think Fizz is in the stage where, like, we're gonna set the tone early. Same way Jim Boylan was last year when he did that in Chicago. Yeah. And I thought the fact that paid off into a win was huge for them, because if they don't go on that run late, now we got 0-3 Knicks, we have a whole 0-4 Knicks, and we have a whole different story.
You're in the sunken place.
Right. no, it's not that bad today. It's not that bad.
Get a win first. Yeah.
2 tough games ahead of them on the road, so I think that it was very big that they got this now, because this could have spiraled into an 0-6 kind of situation. They did it at home, which I think is so important. That arena, nothing's like that arena when it's cooking. It's great. There are skeptics who are saying, it was against a Bulls team that can't really seem to still get its act together. I'm curious to see where both of these franchises go. Neither one, I think, is maybe bound to beat the world this year. But you just want these moments, right, where you see the young players do the things, the promise. You want the promise to come out just a little bit here and there, and there's going to be down games after this, but you need a little something. Hope. And at home, at the Garden, it was very good. Shouts to Johnny Mack. If you don't know who he is, like Bobby Portis, look him up. He's a very established tennis champion. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.